that little beauty. Welcome to my Christmas special. I decided that we would stay indoors. Some people don't have the, the capabilities of cooking outside, which I would normally do. So we're going to cook a 3-course meal in the house, or 3-course Christmas dinner in the house for 25 quid or thereabouts. So I've got all the ingredients here. Got a whole turkey leg here. I managed to get this for £5.39. Okay, that's going to feed easily 5 to 6 people. We're going to do it for 4 today, but you could probably get more than that out of it if you needed to. Got some chicken wings. These guys are your friends, so these are going to be our starter. But also, we're going to prep them. We're going to debone these and make them into these. It's almost like an ode to being outside. So they're going to be little barbecued stuffed chicken wings, but they're not barbecue. We're going to do them in the oven. We're going to have a barbecue vibe. We're going to use the wing tips to make our gravy. So we're sort of using up the waste. There should be no waste. The bones that come out of it and the wing tips will make the delicious gravy that we're going to eat with the mains. 3 courses. There's lots of little bits and pieces I'm going to show you on the way. Loads of tips and tricks. Christmas Eve, you can get the first bit done, and then maybe an hour in the kitchen. And then it means on Christmas Day, there's a few bits left to do, but we should have it so that it's timed perfectly so that you kind of eat your starters whilst the mains is finishing. And then as you pull out the mains, the dessert goes in, so that's ready for when you finish your mains, you can have your dessert. So you've got 3 courses, 25 quid, all the tips, happy days. Let's get on with it. So we're going to start with the starters, which are going to be our stuffed chicken wings. So the dish is basically a deboned sausage stuffed chicken wing served with a sprout and red onion slaw. We're going to also serve it with some fries, but they're not going to be fries as you know it. We're going to use the skin that we peel off. We're going to pickle the skin, and then we're going to fry them and make the most crazy pickle peel fries you ever had on the side. So it's almost like a little sort of plate of chicken and chips to start with your Christmas dinner. 2 quid for a kilo of chicken wings. They are full of flavour. You'll see the bone sticking out the top here. We're just going to work around that bone. Now be really careful with your hands. Okay, you just loosen the skin with the knife. Now this does look a bit fiddly, and it does, you want to get a glass of wine, you want to put the radio on, or your favourite album, and just sort of get to grips with doing these, because once you've done a couple, you kind of fly through them. Okay, so you can see I've just loosened all around that first bone now. Try not to lose any of the flesh. Okay, and then I'm just running the knife down the bone underneath that skin to the end, and you're almost going to fold this thing inside out. So we did a deboning a whole chicken recently. You can check back and have a look at that video. So this is a doddle really in comparison. Right, so you can be a bit rough, so you can see that bone is coming out already. All right, like that. So we're just going to snap that. Okay, bone goes into the tray. There's the skin, there's the wing. You got this little pocket almost. The skin's going to hold in all the juices, all the fat, everything all the good stuff. So you're going to try not to mess with that. So literally going to turn it inside out from there. Flip it inside out, okay? Now here, you've got this kind of bit of cartilage. So you just want to slice that across. And what that'll do, there, you see that cartilage there? Pop that. Will reveal the second half of the bone. All right? And then exactly the same process, really. So there's these little tendons here. Just going to run the knife around those. I know it's fiddly, but honestly, what else you got to do on Christmas Eve? Apart from wow your mates. So just working the knife around the bone again. And then you should, once you get so far, be able to you keep pulling it back and just teasing it with a knife. Just be very careful of your fingers. It'll come down to you'll feel that there's 2 different bones. So if you're a flat fan, you'll be aware of this. Obviously you've got the drum and the flat. This bit's the flat. So you've got 2 wings there. Sorry, 2 bones even. That little bone there should come out relatively easily. And what we're doing, by slicing this flesh here, we're just allowing more room to get sausage meat in there. So don't worry about it being a bit of a mess, because no one's going to see that. It's all going to be tucked in. So there goes bone number 1, there. And there goes bone number 2. And as I say, if there's a few bits of scraps of meat, as long as it's all inside, it's all good. Right, and then we're just going to twist. Oops, take that. So you can just strip it back almost with your hands if you need to. There we go, popped. Second bone out. So that's the 3 bones. Pull this back inside out now. So we're going to slice off the tip. These don't eat well. So you want this here to be something that you can consume the whole thing. No bones. You can slice through it. They're delicious. So that's the deboned chicken wing. But these wing tips, because of the skin on them, they are going to be compared to these bones. These are really going to pack some flavour into your gravy. We're just going to get those on there. So what we're going to do is open up that hole there. Get the sausage in. This feels all sorts of wrong. Stop laughing, cameraman. Right, and then we're just going to pinch that there, like that. Okay, twist and pull out. Pull out. And if that happens, you're in trouble. No. But the sausage meat is inside that chicken, all right? So now all we need to do to sort of tart that up a little bit is kind of tuck in all those extra bits of flesh there, like that, and then you'll bring it round. So you've now got a little stuffed chicken wing. Look at that. Right, so I've done 8 wings now. They're all stuffed and ready to go. We've got all the bones. We've got the wing tips, those 2 extra wings. I'm going to chuck in a carrot. So I'm just going to roughly chop this up. Again, I'm going to get more flavour out of it than chucking it in whole by just chopping it up. Okay, I got a couple of onions. I'm just going to chop into quarters. And they can go in the mix as well. Bulb of garlic. I'm going to bang that in half. And then just going to get my hands in there. I'm going to coat everything up. Just going to quickly rinse my hands before I bang those in an oven at 200 degrees for about maybe 20 minutes. And then after 20 minutes, we're going to turn them over, get all that caramelization starting underneath onto the top. Another 20 minutes or so, get it really sort of golden and crispy. And then these are going to go into a pot of water on low for as long as we possibly can to make a beautiful stock, which we're going to use tomorrow to make a delicious gravy. Okay, so I've got my wings that are stuffed here now. We're just going to hit these. I'm using some Old Bay seasoning. You could use any sort of like rub really. I'm just to save time. This is the last stage of prep for today for these wings. There's a little bit more to do tomorrow. Right, so I'm going to bang these in the fridge, uncovered overnight, and that's basically going to season the inside, but also make sure we get nice crispy skin, as I said before. Right, next up, so we're going to kind of prep 2 parts of the meal at once now. I'm going to show you how to peel spuds. I know that sounds ridiculous, but so we're going to do the pickled peel fries tomorrow for the starter. Big spuds like this are great. These are Maris Pipers, which are great for roasting. So there you go. That's what we're looking for. Real long, kind of the good bits. You know, remember, you're only going to need, these are only like a little garnish, so you probably don't even need to save all of those peelings. But you know, it's a little way of keeping the waste, you know, from being wasteful. Okay, so I've prepped all the spuds for tomorrow, so they're ready to go. Leaving them in water overnight, it's going to draw out some of the starch, and just think you get a better roast potato by doing that. So you kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You're actually making it better and killing time. And then the peelings we've got here, so just covered those with water like that now. And use about half the amount of vinegar. Now this is apple cider vinegar, but you could use malt vinegar, you could use whatever vinegar you've got knocking around in your cupboards. Okay, so we're just going to top that up with about half the amount of water. So it's 2 to 1. There we go, like this. And then a good tablespoon of salt in there too. And then that, again, we're going to leave until tomorrow. And what we'll do is we're just going to bring that up to the heat tomorrow, bring it to a boil, let it cool for like 5 minutes. Then we're going to strain these and the steam will kind of come off the peels. It'll mean they're like kind of part boiled. Then we're just going to throw them into hot fat and fry them for the last few minutes. And you get these wicked pickled peel fries. When we did our starters, we used half a pack of sausages. I've got the other half here. So we're going to make some stuffing with these. Next up, bread. So stale bread. Okay, this is just a crust. We're going to use all of that. We're going to make some bread sauce in a little bit as well. You don't want crusts in bread sauce though. You just want the white of the bread. So the crust is going to be good for breadcrumbs for this. Slice off the crusts. Right, so they're going to go in the wazzer. Get those breadcrumbs in there. I'm going to go in for one small onion, finely chopped. Handful of apricots for some sweetness. For some texture, we're going to go in with some chestnuts. Again, we're just going to roughly chop those. The chestnuts going in, and the rest. We're going to go for some vibrant herbs now. So we've got a bit of parsley. So we've got the thyme in there. Looking good. So we're going to go for the zest of an orange now. And finally, some salt and pepper. We're going to go in for some white pepper and black pepper. Just going to get everything, just toss everything together first of all, and we're going to find the sausages, and then going to start to try and work those into the mix, and they'll kind of bring everything together. And what I'm going to do is just loosely ball it up. You know, you might get a couple of stuffing balls each. Probably get 8, 9, 10 maybe out of this. Right, next up we're going to do the pigs in blankets. Just get them prepped beforehand. You know, it's pretty simple. You wrap your bacon around your sausage. But I'm going to show you a little trick that just makes them a little bit better than it would be if you were to just buy them in. If you've got some sage in your garden, or ask Santa for a sage bush or sage plant for, you know, for Christmas. Because at the end of the day, it lasts most of the winter. Look around because you'll probably be able to nick it off your neighbours in the front gardens or something if you need to. We only need like kind of half of a rasher of bacon per one. So if you do the maths, 6 rashers will do 12 of these. Okay, and then we're going to just take our sage leaf, pop it next to or alongside the sausage, and then wrap the bacon around that. And what if you've never had a crispy sage leaf, then you know this is going to change your life forever because it is incredible. And what's going to happen is all the fat, especially now we bust open that side, is going to come out of these as they cook and basically crisp up this. It's going to add extra flavour and you get like almost like a crisp underneath your pig in blanket, and they are banging, trust me. That's 12 pigs in blankets, 8 stuffing balls done. They can go in the fridge as well overnight, and then easy day on Christmas Day. Right, okay, let's have a look at the wings, or the remnants of the wings that we put in here to make our gravy. Right, getting some lovely coloration on that, some caramelisation. You know what, they're not far away. I kind of forgot about it. They must have been in there half an hour now. What I'm going to do is just loosen everything off, okay, turn it all over, bang it back in the oven for 5. Literally only going to need 5 minutes, it's almost there. Happy days. Right, okay, bread sauce. We're going to use the last of this bread. You know, we use the crusts for stuffing. The white bit's going to be used in this. But before we use the bread, we need to just infuse the milk that's going to go into it. So we're going to go 600 mils or thereabouts of milk. Then we're going to put in 1 roughly chopped onion, 5 cloves, a teaspoon of peppercorns, and a knob of butter, probably about 50 grams. So just going to let that tick away on a medium heat. Almost forgot to put in a couple of cloves of garlic. You know, it's probably not that traditional to put garlic in your bread sauce, but it's garlic in it, it's delicious. I love it. So it works for me. And there's no rules, man. If you want to leave the garlic out, you leave the garlic out. If you want to put the garlic in, put the garlic in. That there is Flavour Town, and how easy. We're just going to get all of that good stuff into the water. Water is still stone cold. It's not even come up to temperature. I've just stirred it around. Look at the colour of it already from that caramelisation of those bones. We're going to dry brine this overnight. Okay, so it's all going to be seasoned and all ready to go for tomorrow's dinner. 4 teaspoons of salt. Go in with the white pepper again. Go mixed herbs, a teaspoon of that. Bit of nutmeg, that's Christmassy. Okay, black pepper, plenty of that. Go with any flavours you think are going to work with what else you've got going on with your dinner, to be honest. Just get it all over the turkey. Get yourself a rack, okay, and actually elevate this now from the pan underneath, because then any sort of excess water or whatever is going to drip off, and it's going to allow all that skin to dry out, and we're going to have our best chance of getting a nice crispy skin on the outside of our turkey tomorrow. Prep's almost done. We just need to sort out this bread sauce, and then I can chill for the rest of the day. Just going to strain off this liquid it's been infusing for the last sort of 20 minutes, half an hour. I'm going to go back in to the pan. Then all we need to do is blitz up our bread. So they're going to go in. What we are going to do is use some of the double cream that I got for the pudding in here as well, just to make it super luxurious. You can have a little taste. It'll get better overnight as well. Oh mate, buttery, herby. It's going to be so good with that turkey, honestly. Make your bread sauce, mate. Like, honestly, it costs pence to do that, and it will elevate the dinner beyond any of your wildest dreams, I promise. So that's it for day one. You can go off and have a few beers now, Christmas Eve, get out of a pub, whatever, knowing that half of the work, or more than half of the work probably, for tomorrow is done. We haven't touched the dessert. We're going to do that tomorrow. That's pretty easy. So yeah, we've got to just sort out the veg. The veg is half done with the spuds. There's not a lot to do tomorrow. It's going to be easy, man. Trust me. Right, okay, we did all our prep yesterday, and so today is the day where we're going to try and pull the dinner together. We've got our turkey leg here that's brined overnight. You can see that this is why I kind of elevated it. You can see all the liquid that's come out of these birds, quite a bit there. But hopefully we've got a real nice sort of brine going on. 24 hours for 2 pieces of meat this size, a thigh and a drummer should be enough. If you're doing a whole bird, you probably want to go for 48, but I'm thinking this will be fine. In order to make sure we've cooked it, I'm going to use the meter. Number 1 is going to be the drummer. You always got to put it into the thickest part of the bird. So I'm going to pop that into there. And then number 2 is going into the thigh, which it's hard to tell from this angle. I reckon like in there is where we need to be. Pushing the probe right in as far as we can go with that little sort of the external square that tells us the external temperature of the grill, or in this case the oven. Make sure that's exposed, but it's in deep enough that whatever reading it's given us, we know that that's going to be kind of central to the meat, and it's going to give us an accurate reading that it's cooked. Try and leave enough room around it to get as much in here as possible, because everything, as it's cooking in here, it's going to give out its juices, the fat and everything. It's going to caramelise on the bottom, and then we're going to pour that stock that we made yesterday in here to make our gravy once these are resting. So we're going to go into the meter app. Okay, probe number 1 was our drumstick here, so we're going to go in there, set up cook, cooking poultry today. I've got wet fingers. Yeah, okay. Turkey. And its leg, that's saying 77, so we'll start the cook on that. Turn up my... Okay, so we're going to set up the cook for the thigh as well. So poultry, turkey, thigh, 77 is again what it wants. So start the cook. We'll turn the volume up later. Easy as that. We've got our potatoes. So we've got the main event, which is going to be the roasties. Obviously, they have to be incredible. You can't have shit roasties on Christmas Day. It's just not, it's just not worth thinking about, is it? Couple of tablespoons of salt in that water. It's not all going to go into those spuds because we're only going to cook them for like 5 minutes. While we're talking about the starter, we've got those peels just coming up to the boil. We're going to make a little sort of blue cheese, sprout and red onion slaw. We're just going to slice these super fine. And I'm probably going to use half of this red onion. Just want a squirt of shop bought mayo, maybe a tablespoon. Bit of blue cheese, it's £1.40 for 100 grams. Just going to break that up in there, like that. Lemon, pinch of salt, A little bit of chili powder. You know, you just want everything to kind of dress that nice crisp salad. Happy days. Let me just have a little taste. Oh man, love it. You will love that, trust me. So just strain these peel, and I kind of like just making sure you try and get as much of the water off them as possible. It's still a little bit starchy, but they'll be good. I'm just going to leave them to cool down in the sieve there. We're just going to pour a little bit of oil, probably about 2 tablespoons, over the spuds. Then we're going to go in with a good pinch of sea salt. If you've got sea salt, plenty of thyme, plenty of black pepper. Get the lid on and shake it. You should have nice fluffy edges on your spuds. Some people like to boil their potatoes to the point where they would mash before they turn them into roasties. I personally think that that is taking it too far, and you can end up with a whole load of mush. So 5 minutes, fluffed edges, but then leaving the lid on until you're ready, at least half an hour, is going to continue for them to cook, but they're going to kind of hold a bit more substance than if they're cooked in water for that amount of time. So yeah, leave them in the pan. Right, so I'm looking at the turkey, and we've got the drummer is a bit behind the thigh. It might just be a slight difference in the way that the probe has gone in, but we're roughly halfway. So that's the thigh is at 42 and the drummer's at 31. But at least they're coming up, so that's good. Nice bit of colour on it, it's looking good. Particularly that thigh. The thigh that's apparently further ahead, it's getting really nice crispy skin on it. Okay, we're just starting to see some caramelisation. Let's move this around a little bit on the bottom, because what we want to do is maximise the amount of flavour that's in the bottom of this pan for when we make our gravy. So moving these guys around is going to do that. So we've got our stuffing on our pigs in blankets to go in now. So I'm just literally going to get them in. As long as there's a little bit of space around each one, they should cook really nicely. We're going to turn them over halfway through. Millimetres to go, but there is a gap between each one. Happy days. They're all in. Let's get that back in the oven. Again, it's going to be a little bit tight in here. Just make sure they're not touching each other, so we get a nice even cook on these. So we're going to prep our veg. So we're going to do some parsnips and some carrots. We're going to roast those. Okay, lovely. So what we're going to go in there now is we're going to put a little bit of oil, a little bit of salt, sprinkle, some more pepper, just a little bit, and then we're going to give it a little squeeze of honey. A bit more thyme, don't need too much in there. And then we're going to give that a good old wazz up with your fingers. And then what we're going to do is also put a couple of slices of butter on the top of those. They're not going in yet, but they're ready to go now, along with our spuds. Right, so we're going to make a spiced apple tart tatin for pudding. Just going to peel them, core them, and slice them into discs. Ooh, I've just noticed we haven't got very long until this turkey's ready, so I'm just going to stop play with the apples for a minute and turn over our pigs in blankets and the stuffing balls so that they get those juices underneath. Whoa, those stuffing balls. Look at the colour. Gorgeous. Whilst these are looking a little bit anemic, we're just going to hit them with a little bit of honey, which is going to obviously give them an ace sweetness. We're going to keep going until we're definitely sure that everything is cooked. Best way to core an apple when you haven't got an apple core like me, just chop it in half, man. Sacrifice your circle and then just whip those bits out. Okay, so for the tart tatin, we've got our apples, and we're going to go 100 grams of caster sugar into an oven-proof dish. Try not to move the sugar around too much because it can crystallise. The odd little move around just to spread it evenly will do. The sugar's just starting to melt, and you're getting that bit of smoke that we've got now. That's time to turn off the heat. Okay, just allow those last few sugar crystals to melt. Then we're going to go in with around about 75 grams of butter. Some gorgeous looking caramel now. So the heat is completely off at this point. This is just melting in the heat of that sugar. Put some sea salt crystals in there too. Pieces of apple now, going to go in. And it's always good to put the prettiest side the opposite way, because by the time this is served, it's going to be turned out upside down. So the pretty side will be the side that you see. Just to scatter the almonds all over. So this is just shop bought puff pastry. Just want a square of that. So we're going to stop there. You could even make some mince pies or something with the bit that's left over. Just place the whole thing over the top. And all you need to do is just fold in the corners, just roughly. Because it's puff pastry, man, you're just doubling up on puff pastry. Puff pastry is delicious, yeah? No one's going to be worried about having an extra bit. And as I say, this is going to be turned out upside down when we finish, so you're not going to see this anyway. So just to save yourself some time and not to waste the pastry, do that. And then all we need to do is just make sure you put some holes in with a knife, just to make sure that the air comes out from underneath. And then that is ready to go in the oven. So when our mains are done, the tart tatin go in, 40 minutes, 200 degrees, and it's going to be good. Okay, let's get these out. Looking fit as you like. Whew. Oh yes. And there's loads of goodies in the bottom of there to use for our gravy. We've got our stuffed wings coming out. Going to give those a little quick glaze with some barbecue sauce and back in for the last 10 minutes. We put the barbecue sauce on at the last minute just because it's full of sugar and it would burn if we were to put it on at the beginning. But also we've got really crispy skin on these wings. And now that the fat's rendered out, which you can see in the tray, this is just going to mean that we get really nice bite through skin on these stuffed little wings. Back into the oven. Last 5 minutes. Oil into the pan for the roasties now. A couple of tablespoons. That's going into the bottom of the oven so that when these come out we can get the roasties in into a nice hot pan. They can just rest for a few minutes. Hot oil. Got our potatoes here. Been sitting in the pan for a while. That sound is so satisfying. Love it. Right, we're just going to make sure they've got loads of room. You know, you can't overcrowd your roast potatoes in the same way that you do with the root veg. So our root veg going underneath it. As soon as the gravy's going, we're good to kind of think about getting the starter out, and you know, everything's under control. So we're going to go for about a tablespoon of plain flour into the pan that we cooked everything in, okay, on the hob, and just work it into all the corners, all the juices, get every last little bit of caramelisation up, and just cook out that flour. So the stock's going to go in. Look at that. If it's gelatinous, you know you've done a good job. And then that can just tick away in the tray for a little while, whilst just very slowly, and then we're going to strain it back once we're sort of happy with the consistency. Strain it back through the sieve, and we've got a beautiful gravy. I know it doesn't look much right now. Give it 10 minutes, believe me. Finish off our starters now. The chicken's out, so we made our slaw earlier. We're just going to fry off these pickled peels. So I'm just going to put maybe like 300 mils of oil, call it 400, in a pan. And bring it up to about 160, and then we're just going to quickly fry these pickles, these pickle peels, in there, and they're going to make our little garnish. These guys are done. Just going to get those out onto a cloth to drain for a minute, and then we can pull the starters together. Slaw. Slice them on an angle. Hear that skin? And then look inside. Beautifully stuffed chicken. You got that crispy, sweet breast on the outside. Sorry, skin on the outside. There we go. And then a few little pickled, fried potato skins on the side. You got yourself a beautiful little starter there. Happy days, look at that. Spuds are about halfway through. Woo! So we're going to give them a good coating of that oil again. Beautiful. Back in for the next 10 minutes. That should be enough for them to be done. Green veg. We're going to go into the pan with some bacon. Crisp that up real nice. I'm going to add in some vegetables now. So I've got these sprouts. Now I've just halved them, just because it's going to mean they're going to cook a lot quicker. I'm going to go in there with some purple sprouting broccoli too. Drop in half a glass of water, and then we're going to just kind of cook that in its own steam for a few minutes. Soften everything. Get the rest of those chestnuts in there too. Finish it for a few more minutes without the lid on, and that's good to go. We're almost there, ready to plate up. That skin is nice and crispy. Really is. So let's have a little look. I'm going to just slice it up now. Look how juicy. I'm going to have a little chef's treat just off the edge. Dry binding, I'm telling you, is the way forward. That's so juicy. So much more flavour than you get from the breast. Beautiful. The skin. I'm going to nick that bit of skin. Dry brining again. Draws all the moisture out. Let's have a look at this drummer. Again, look at the moisture in there. It's got weird kind of layers within a turkey drummer, but it don't mean it's any less tasty. Look at that. And like I said, you can really sort of, with the leg meat, you can really get away with kind of taking it a lot further than you can that breast. Like, look how much moisture is still in that. It literally is so tender. I'm surprised it's not the bit that people want, to be fair, because it's so much better than breast for me. Delicious. Right, let's get the rest of it together. I'm going to strain the gravy. They look spot on to me. There we are. Mains are having it, but before we eat them, don't forget to put in the dessert. Okay, let's plate up. Our beautiful turkey thigh, dead juicy, nice crispy skin on the outside. A couple of pigs in blankets, of course. Stuffing. Boom. Look at that. Yes. I feel like I need to say boom every time I land a roast on the purple sprouting, which is bang in season. Delicious. Cheap because it's in season. And then, of course, we've got our bread sauce that we made yesterday. That beautiful gravy. I'm pleased with myself. I really am. Can't wait to eat this. I'm not going to lie. And desserts still to come. Right, so the tarte tatin is probably 5 minutes away. I'm just going to make a cheeky little rum cream. The rest of that cream is left from, so we used maybe a third of that pot. So I'd say we used 100 mils in the bread sauce and 200 mils in here. I'm going to put the rum in now. Literally just a splash. Okay, we'll give it such, maybe a little bit more. Give it such an elegance, you know, and rum and apples and spices just work together. And we're just going to whip that until it's kind of like, we don't want it to be really, really stiff. See, it's coming around pretty quick already. So I'm going to stop there. Oh, mate, honestly, transform some double cream. All right, ta-ta-ta. So after you've had your dinner, should take about 40 minutes. This takes 40 minutes in the oven. Just a couple of minutes to relax. Cold plate, and it is key to do this with a cold plate because that's the only bit of cold that's going on here. I'm gonna pop that over the top. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Ah! Fuck, that was hot. Just be careful. There we go. Ta-ta-tam, baby. Look at that. It's worth the burns. It's still bubbling away. Probably should have waited a little bit longer. Look at that. How Christmassy does that look? And then all you want to do is hit that with a dollop of the rum cream. You've got yourself a delicious little dessert. There we go. Right, 3 courses, 25 quid for 4 people. Nothing frozen, unlike Tesco's 25 quid deal. Using various supermarkets from Scandinavia, and we got there. Happy day. Oh yeah, and thanks to Morrison's for the turkey leg. That's where you'll get your turkey leg. 5 quid, man, and that is the star of the show for me. Cooked to perfection with the meter, of course. Happy days, man. Have a go at all of these, one of these, any of these. Let me know what you thought in the comments. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the new year with some new shit.